Sally Field truly hated him more than anyone. Sally Field was born Sally Margaret Field on November 6, 1946, in Pasadena, California. Field's road to stardom indeed had humble beginnings. Her mother, Margaret Field, was also an actress, and her stepfather, Jock Mahoney, was a stuntman who also acted. These early family ties to Hollywood introduced her into the world of entertainment, but her journey was anything but easy. Sally's childhood was filled with emotional challenges and the complexities of blended family life. She described herself as a shy, insecure child. However, it wasn't too long before her natural talent and charisma would surface. Upon graduation from Birmingham High School in Van, New York, she began to get her first big break in television, a moment that would define the beginning of her career. In 1965, Sally Field would become a household name as the star of the light-hearted sitcom about a spirited teenage surfer entitled Gidget. The show only lasted for one season, but brought her radiant energy and comedic timing into the living rooms of viewers across the country. Shortly thereafter, she took the role of Sister Bertriel in the iconic show The Flying Nun, 1967 to 1970, about a happy nun who literally takes flight. While the show was very popular, in later years, Field would confess that she found herself typecast as a cute, perky girl and wanted to take on more serious, significant roles. So this era in her life really began her struggle to redefine herself as an actress who could do more than sitcom charm. Determined to evolve beyond her television image, Field began studying acting with the legendary Lee Strasberg at the Actors Studio. The experience transformed her craft and gave her the confidence to pursue deeper, more emotionally challenging roles. Her persistence paid off when she delivered a stunning performance in the 1976 made-for-TV movie Sybil, portraying a young woman with dissociative identity disorder. The role required extraordinary emotional range, and Field's performance was universally acclaimed, earning her an Emmy Award and permanently altering the trajectory of her career. For the first time, Hollywood began to see Sally Field not as a lightweight TV actress, but as a serious dramatic talent. Success in Sybil opened the door to film roles that would showcase her full range. In 1979, she starred in Norma Rae, a powerful drama about a Southern mill worker who becomes a union activist. The role resonated deeply with audiences and critics alike as Field brought authenticity, grit, and passion to the character. Her portrayal earned her the Academy Award for Best Actress, and her heartfelt acceptance speech, "You like me, you really like me," became one of the most quoted moments in Oscar history, symbolizing both her relief and her joy at finally being recognized for her talent. Throughout the 1980s, Field continued to shine in an array of various roles. She starred with Bert Reynolds, with whom she was also in a romantic relationship in Smokey and the Bandit, 1977, and The End, 1978. Though their relationship eventually ended, it played a significant role in her personal and professional life, as both actors became one of Hollywood's most talked-about couples. Field also gave memorable performances in Places in the Heart, 1984, for which she won her second Academy Award, and Steel Magnolia, 1989, a film that showcased her ability to blend strength and vulnerability as a mother coping with love and loss. In the decades that followed, Sally Field continued to prove her enduring power as an actress. She appeared in the Forrest Gump 1994 as Tom Hanks' loving mother, a role that became iconic in its own right. Later, she transitioned seamlessly into television once again, earning acclaim for her work in ER and Brothers and Sisters, where she played the matriarch of a complex Modern Family performance that earned her another Emmy. Even into her 70s, Field continued to take on roles that challenge her, including her Broadway performance in The Glass Menagerie and her portrayal of Mary Todd Lincoln in Steven Spielberg's Lincoln 2012, for which she received yet another Oscar nomination. Beyond her on-screen accomplishments, Sally Field has also been an outspoken advocate for women's rights, LGBTQ+ equality, and mental health awareness. Her openness about her struggles with self-esteem and her candid memoir, In Pieces, 2018, gave fans an intimate glimpse in her personal life, her triumphs, heartbreaks, and resilience. The memoir revealed strength behind her vulnerability that resonated with readers who admired her courage and authenticity. Sally Field's personal life is as filled with love, partnership, and personal growth as her illustrious career. She first married Stephen Craig in 1968, at a time when she was still emerging from her early television fame in Gig and The Flying Nun, but the marriage coincided with a very transformative period in her life, both personally and professionally, as she tried to define herself other than by the light-hearted roles that had brought her initial fame. Field and Craig divorced in 1975, although they had separated in 1973, by which time Field was already working on landing more mature and challenging acting roles that would soon redefine her career. Together, the couple had 2 sons, Peter Craig born in 1969 and Eli Craig born in 1972. Both of her sons went on to achieve creative success in Hollywood, following in their mother's artistic footsteps. Peter became a respected novelist and screenwriter, contributing to major films such as The Town 2010 and Top Gun Maverick 2022, while Eli became known as both an actor and a director, earning acclaim for his dark comedy Tucker and Dale vs. Evil 2010. Field often talks of her pride in her sons, emphasizing how close the family is and how motherhood grounded her through her turbulent years in the entertainment industry. After the end of her marriage to Craig, Field entered into one of the most talked-about relationships of her life with Hollywood superstar Bert Reynolds. Their romance began in 1976 and lasted until 1980, a period marked by both passion and public fascination. They met while filming the action comedy Smokey Key and the Bandit, 1977, which became a box office phenomenon and turned them into one of the most beloved on-screen and off-screen couples of the late 1970s. Their undeniable chemistry led to 3 more collaborations, Smokey Key and The Bandit 2, 1980, The End, 1978, and Hooper, 1978. Off-screen, however, their relationship was as intense and complicated as it was affectionate. Field later described Reynolds as someone she deeply cared for, but also someone who struggled with vulnerability and control, which ultimately strained their bond. Despite breaking up in 1980, they kept an on and off relationship for a couple of more years before finally parting ways in 1982. In later interviews, both Field and Reynolds looked back upon their time with residual fondness, but simultaneously with unresolved emotion. Reynolds famously referred to Field as the love of my life in his 2015 memoir, while Field, though fond, did admit in her own memoir, in Pieces 2018, that their relationship had been emotionally complex and at times difficult. In 1984, Sally Field found love once more and married film producer Alan Greisman. Her relationship came at a time when Field had already gained recognition as one of Hollywood's most respected actresses, having won 2 Academy Awards for Norma Rae, 1979, and Places in the Heart, 1984. With Greisman, Field welcomed her 3rd son, Sam, in 1987, adding another bright light to her family. Field has often spoken about Sam, who would later become a writer and public advocate, and the close-knit, supportive quality of her family life with great warmth and admiration. Despite her professional success, Field always put being a mother first, managing a delicate balance between her career and raising her children, one that she has described as challenging and deeply rewarding. However, as with many relationships in Hollywood, her marriage to Greisman eventually came to an end, and they divorced in 1994 after a decade together. Many stories have often emerged from Hollywood film sets about actors clashing behind the scenes, but few rival the tension that reportedly existed between Sally Field and Tommy Lee Jones. Though both are respected, Oscar-winning actors known for their immense talent and professionalism, their working relationship during the making of Back Roads in 1981 was infamously turbulent. Sally Field had always been vocal about her experiences in Hollywood, and she didn't hold back when it came to her feelings regarding Jones. "I have worked with difficult men before," she once said, "but Tommy was something else altogether. Just impossible, and I really hated him more than anybody I ever worked with." Her words, spoken with honesty and the wear and tear of exhaustion, revealed deep frustration and emotional toll. At the time Back Roads was filmed, both Field and Jones were at significant points in their careers. Sally Field had already proven her dramatic range with acclaimed performances in Norma Rae, 1979, and Smokey and the Bandit, 1977, while Tommy Lee Jones was building a reputation for intensity, grit, and an almost intimidating seriousness toward his craft. The on-screen chemistry between the pair may have appeared raw and believable, but was actually partly fueled by genuine hostility off-camera. Field later admitted that much of the tension in their scenes didn't require acting, it was real. "Every look, every line between us was loaded," she said. "I wasn't pretending to be angry at him. I was." Their conflict arose from fundamentally different approaches to acting. Field was emotionally open and collaborative, while Jones was famously brooding, methodical, and dismissive of others' opinions. He had a reputation for being domineering and argumentative on set. For Field, who valued mutual respect and empathy, his attitude was intolerable. "He could be condescending," she explained. "He treated me like I didn't know what I was doing, and I had already won an Academy Award. It was insulting." The set was described by many crew members afterward as tense and exhausting, with long silences and palpable animosity between the two leads. Despite their personal dislike for each other, the film had them sharing many intimate and emotionally charged scenes. The irony was that their fiery interaction made their on-screen relationship electric. Critics noted the realism and edge in their performances, which was actually most of the time a reflection of genuine conflict. Field later confessed to channeling her real frustration into the character at times. "I used every ounce of irritation I felt toward Tommy to fuel my performance," she said. "It was cathartic in a strange way." Yet, once filming was complete, she made it known that she would never work with him again. "I couldn't stand being in the same room with him," she admitted bluntly. As for Tommy Lee Jones, he never publicly responded in detail to Field's criticisms, but said volumes by not responding at all. Gruff and dismissive of Hollywood gossip, he avoided talk of a feud, labeling it all bunk. Still, sources close to him confirmed his temperament often rubbed co-stars the wrong way, particularly the strong-willed ones who refused to be intimidated, such as Field. One Back Roads crew member remembered, "Sally gave as good as she got. She didn't back down, and that only made things worse between them. It was like watching two storms collide." Later in her life, Field recalled the experience with humor and residual annoyance. "I suppose he's a brilliant actor," she said, "but that doesn't mean you have to like the person. I didn't. In fact, I hated him." Such candor reached her fans, who appreciated her integrity and penchant for not beautifying the brutal realities of Hollywood. She admitted that one cannot experience a pleasant working relationship in every instance, no matter how professional it may be. "People think actors become friends after filming," she said. "That is not always true. Sometimes you just survive it." Even decades later, Back Roads remains a footnote in both actors' illustrious careers, remembered less for its story than for the explosive pairing of its stars. While both Field and Jones continued on to further success, with Field in Places in the Heart, 1984, and Steel Magnolias, 1989, and Jones and the Fugitive, 1993, and No Country for Old Men, 2007. Their collaboration stands as a stark reminder that creative genius may coexist with deep personal animosity. Ultimately, Sally Field never warmed up toward Tommy Lee Jones. Sharp, honest, and deeply felt, her words still resound today as perhaps the most striking admission of dislike between co-stars that Hollywood has ever known. "He may be talented," she concluded, "but talent doesn't excuse cruelty. I'd rather work with anybody else." That is raw, unfiltered, and real from a woman who made her career out of passion, sometimes brutally honest words, and the courage to say them, no matter how much they would make those hearing them uncomfortable.